All right. Hello, we are live. I'm just gonna give it a minute because I know it takes a minute for YouTube to catch up. Hello. I'm like waiting. It always takes like 30 seconds or something, but welcome everybody. Oh, here we go. Okay. I think this is working now. Yay. Hello. All right. Welcome. Thank you guys for joining. Oh my goodness, 10,000 subscribers. So exciting. It's been a long time coming and it's really exciting. So thank you so much to everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk a lot of books. I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. Hello. Hello. So I basically went on YouTube community tab, Instagram, and Twitter and said, if you have questions you want me to answer, or if you have specific book recommendations you are looking for, let me know and I will give those in the live stream. So I have like 3 pages of them. It's very exciting. So it's going to be fun. And then if people in the comments have stuff too, it's going to be more off the top of my head because I won't have given it as much thought, but feel free to. Thank you. Thank you, Cappuccino Crafts. Hi, Casey. Hello. Hi, Kate. Oh, perfect. Hot chocolate. That sounds awesome. I have myself a Prosecco and mango orange juice, like a celebratory drink. Let me know where everybody is coming in from, what you're doing, if you're drinking anything tonight. I do know the Super Bowl was today also, but like we didn't watch that. I'll probably watch a roundup of like the commercials tomorrow. Okay. So, hello, welcome. Thanks guys for joining me. And I have like stacks of books around me because I like gathered what I have. Yes, 10K. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks guys. It's very exciting. Oh, awesome. Hey, Rachel. Okay, I understand the children, mine are asleep, but like I totally get that. I will try to get to your question sooner than later because I know you had one in here. Thank you. Love it. From Arizona, French vanilla coffee. That sounds awesome. Hey, Izzy, thank you. Thanks, Marina. Hanging out with baby girl. Nice. I love it. Yes. Texas. Awesome. Thanks. Oh, this is so fun. Toronto, Canada. Love it. Tampa. Yeah, I mean, same. We're not like, we don't really care that much about the Super Bowl, but I know a lot of people do, which is great. Hello from Wisconsin. Cool. Oh, Black Flamingo. I've heard that's really good. And lesson planning for school tomorrow. Man, like teachers are doing the work right now, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Water, maybe more something more fun later. Sounds good. Sounds great. Minnesota. Okay. Nice. Utah. We've got like people all over the place. Thank you. Washington State and Pennsylvania. Love it. This is great. Oh, fun. Yay. I'm so glad people are here. Okay, so here's where we're going to start. Apparently everybody is really interested in fantasy romance because I got 4 questions about fantasy romance. So I'm going to kind of group those together because they're somewhat similar, but I will tell you the specific questions that I got. Oh, we've got more. Hey, thank you. Hey, Mara, thanks. Awesome. Ontario. Ooh, decaf Earl Grey with soy. That sounds delicious. I love that. Georgia with Super Bowl in the background. Awesome. Yes, yes. Okay, so this is funny because we just filmed a thing for World Hoppers that is forthcoming about fantasy romance. I was like very prepped for it. Okay, so on where's my first one? On Twitter, Bridget asked for underhyped romantic fantasy. So I have a couple of those. Then on Instagram, Tori asked for epic adult fantasy romance. Unread Shelves asked for fantasy romance by BIPOC authors. And then on YouTube, Tegan asked for fantasy with strong romances. So everybody wants fantasy romance. So we're going to do some recommendations for fantasy romance. Hey, Beth, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start with talking about the underhyped ones, and these are going to be relevant. Hold on. relevant for some of the other categories as well. And I mean, you've probably heard me talk about a lot of these. First of all, of course, the thing that I'm pushing on everybody this year, Rain and Ruin by J.D. Evans. How many of my videos has this been in? A whole lot. But this is a really great fantasy romance that is like equal parts fantasy and romance. So if you're wanting to dip your toes in romance and you like epic fantasy, this is a good one. If you like romance and want to get into epic fantasy, this is also a good one. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. I love it. It's a great slow burn romance. So this is one that I think is underhyped just because, I mean, I hype it a lot, but I don't know if other people are. So that is one of my underhyped ones. And then one that I really love that I think people don't always realize is a fantasy romance because it looks like and is sold as more of just a pure fantasy is Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. If you didn't know, this is a really great epic slow burn fantasy romance. And this is also a fantasy romance by a BIPOC author. Tasha Suri is South Asian and queer. So definitely one I would highly recommend. Love it. Yay. Thank you. Hello. Thank you. Thanks. Oh, we've got more people coming in. I loved the book. Okay, well, I don't know which one, but both of them are great. Yes, Empire of Sand. Empire of Sand is so good, guys. I know it looks like it's just a fantasy, but it's got a great romance. And the sequel, Realm of Ash. Yeah, there is a companion novel as well, Realm of Ash, which is also very good. So those are some good options. Other things, if you're looking for, so those are like for my epic / underhyped fantasy romance. If you want some other options by BIPOC authors, so Black, Indigenous, people of color authors, you might try Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. She is Black and Native American, and this is like post-apocalyptic urban fantasy with a romantic element to it. Okay, we've got, hold on. Hello. Yes, Empire of Sand is great. It is not YA, it is adults. Yep, it's adult. Yes, thank you. It is. She does have another book coming out and it does sound awesome. I really would like to get my hands on it. Agreed. And I think the next one is actually going to have like an FF relationship in it, which is cool. Another series you might check out if you're looking for epic fantasy romance by BIPOC authors. I'm going to tell you, the first book is not as good as the later books. And I've seen a lot of people give up on this series because they didn't love the first book. So I'm just going to tell you, try the second one and see if it gets better. But we have Song of Blood and Stone and Whispers of Shadow and Flame by Elle Penelope. There is also a third book out and a fourth one is coming out, I think, this year. I really like these. They are epic fantasy, but each book also follows a primary couple. So it's pretty heavy on the world building fantasy elements, but also a really strong romantic plot. Like I said, the first book, it's her debut. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I've seen a lot of people stop because they didn't love this. Seriously, go try this because this is so good. I'm just gonna say, it's not a direct sequel. It like follows different primary characters. Okay. Hi, Darcy. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, that happens. Like, yeah, it's adults. Started listening on Audible. Oh, cool. Storm of Locusts. Yeah, I need to read that one. I haven't read the second one yet. Jasmine Throne is Sapphic. Thank you. Yes, Jasmine Throne is Tasha Suri's next book, which is very exciting. Okay, so here's the thing. Tasha Suri is like the author is, I don't know if she's like Indian or Pakistani. If somebody knows, let me know, but she's definitely not white, so I don't know, but it is really very good. I think it's worth a try. Love Elle Penelope of all three of them. Yes, I'm very excited for the last one too. I think they're really good. And I unfortunately have seen a lot of people read the first one and be like, yeah, I didn't like it that much, I'm giving up on it. The rest of the series is very, very good. So I'm gonna recommend those. Yes, very excited for Jasmine Throne. That's going to be a good one. Okay, last one in fantasy romance, then we will move on to some other stuff because I've got lots of questions. Because I had 4 of them, you're getting more recommendations in this category because like 4 people asked about it. My last recommendation for fantasy romance by a BIPOC author is the Changeling series by Nalini Singh. Nalini Singh is South Asian, And yeah, these are great. They're paranormal romance by a BIPOC author. So there's some recommendations for you. Mirage, yes. I didn't love the sequel either, but I really liked the first book. I agree. That's a good YA one if you want like a more of a fantasy. It's like, it's weird. It's like sci-fi, but feels more like a fantasy. That's definitely an interesting one. I'm sorry. There's a lot of good books. Yeah. Sorry. We're just getting started. Okay, so that's the fantasy romance questions because we had a lot of those. And then because, oh, like I forgot to grab, hold on. There we go. Okay, and then because I know Rachel is in here and I don't know how long she's going to be here, we're just going to do Rachel's question. She asked me to share a book that I thought was scary. So I was giving this some thought and I have a couple of answers for this. Oh, how cool. That is interesting. That's very interesting. Romance books for Valentine. Hey, it's appropriate, right? Romance books for Valentine's Day. Why not? We will get more romance later, just not fantasy romance, but there's going to be other stuff in this too, just depending on the questions. So Rachel from Shades of Orange, who does a lot of horror and sci-fi stuff, go check out her channel if you haven't already, if you don't already follow her, but she asked about a book that I found scary. So one book, I'm going to say the early part of this book scared me, not the entire book. Later on, it got less scary, which I was okay with because I don't necessarily enjoy feeling super scared in my books. I know some people do, but the Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, like legitimately like had a couple of things that happened early in the book that like freaked me out. And I don't know if this would be scary to everyone, but there are ghosts at this like creepy motel. There's also like serial murders happening. And like the thing that really freaked me out without giving too much detail is it's one of the, you know, it's one of those motels where all the doors are on the outside of the building, you know, and all the doors in the middle of the night opened on their own while people were like in the room. And I was like, oh my God, that's so scary. And I don't know if this is just because like that is a fear I have when I like stay in hotels where I'll like double lock the door. But I was like, oh my God, that's so terrifying. So this was a book that I found scary early on. It doesn't stay super scary. But yeah, I thought that was super creepy. Yeah, it was like those scenes were terrifying to me. Oh, yeah. Yes, I could see that with the Hazelwood. I really liked that one too. That was good. There's that new book by T. Kingfisher that I want to read that I'm really interested in. That's interesting. Okay, and then the other one was scary in a different sort of way, and those of you who've read this will know what I mean. And oh, hey, Ashley, thanks. Hello. Okay, so yeah, so this is one that was scary in a different sort of way, but this is My Soul to Keep by Tananarive Due. I don't think I expected this to be as much horror as it was. And this book has a couple of scenes that like go farther than I have read in other books and does some things that I was like, this is horrifying. And so in a different sort of way, that was like another one this past year that was kind of scary. So there's my answer for books that I found scary. Hello. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad so many people came. This is fun. So yeah. Yes. Super scary. Exactly. And you don't know because you're sleeping, like where all the doors suddenly open because it's like a haunted motel. I was like, this is terrifying. I thought it was really scary. The rest of the book gets more like solving crimes and like whatever. So it didn't stay that bad, but like the early part of it, I was like, oh my God. Whew. So thank you. Thank you. Yes. Scary and disturbing, but so good. That Dawit, oh my God, Dawit. He's such a complicated character too, and that's what's so good about him is he's terrifying, but also like likable sometimes. Oh man, it's so good. I need to read more from Tananarive Due. Yes, African vampires. It's very interesting, but it is horror. Like it's yeah, it's really good. And I'll keep my eye on that because that's actually an answer for another question we have later. Okay. Let me see what else we have, and then we will move on. Okay, I'm gonna go to another Twitter question. Vicky asked about a historical romance set in the 1920s. Okay, guys, so I had trouble with this because I was like, have I read any historical romances set in the 1920s? And then this prompted me today, actually, to go ahead and read a novella that sort of fits this so that I can tell you about it. So today, I read Let Us Dream by Alyssa Cole, which is set in 1917 Harlem. And like all of Alyssa Cole's historical romance novellas, is fantastic and has a lot of depth to it. I'm just always amazed at how much she's able to do in such a short amount of pages. This one follows a heroine who is a Black woman who runs like a cabaret club, kind of a burlesque club, I guess you could say. And the hero is an undocumented immigrant from India. He's Muslim, and she hires him to work in the kitchens, and they end up having this kind of slowly developing friendship turned into romance. And it's really good. It deals with the women's suffrage movement. It deals with intersectional oppression. Yeah, really great. I loved it. So that's my recommendation for you. Yes. Yes, like there are scenes in that book that will stick with you. Yes. Oh, yeah. Alyssa Cole has great historicals. She's got a bunch of indie published historical novellas, and they are fantastic. So Let Us Dream is the one that's set in like the 1920s era. She has one set during the civil rights era. She's got a medieval one, but they're all just great. She is masterclass, 100%. Yep. That's true. Yeah, the Diviner series is set in the 1920s, and it has a lot of romantic elements to it. That's a good recommendation. Ghost story plus romance. Okay, let's see what else we have. Oh, hey, I finished all the Twitter questions. Oh, almost. Okay, one more Twitter question. Okay, so Read, Love, Listen. Who is in here? Hey, I have your She has a sapphic historical? Really? Oh, Libba Bray. Yes. Yes. The which I love them. A Great and Terrible Beauty is the first one. They're YA sapphic historical romances. I loved those when I was in college. They were so good. Yeah, Naughty John is very creepy. It is like it's like a horror with romance. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Read, Love, Listen had a question. She asked for adults or new adult. Oh, wait, what? That could be enough. Is this Alyssa Cole? I'm gonna have to look this up. What? I did not know this. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to, I did not know this. What? What? Okay, I'm looking. Sorry, I keep getting interrupted. I'm like, I have not read this. There's another Alyssa Cole historical I haven't read. Okay, after this, I'll have to remember to like go buy it. Okay. So Read, Love, Listen asked for an adult or new adult sci-fi or fantasy with strong female protagonists or anti-heroes. Bonus if it's an ensemble cast. Okay, so I love the specificity. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that one. I have two answers for you. One that is like a YA new adult series and one that is adult. So I'm going to recommend the Imperium Trilogy by Claire Legrand. The first book is Fury Born. This one did finish. It's now all out. I haven't read the third one yet, but it came out late last year. And these are fantastic. They are multi-POV. I would call this new adult. It's got a lot of like steamy stuff in it. And it is fantasy, has strong female protagonists, has anti-heroes. It's got complex gray morality. It's pretty epic. I love them. If you haven't read them yet, I would definitely recommend checking those out. And then my other recommendation is one that's a little bit slower paced, but if you like slow paced character driven books, highly recommend Queens of Innislear by Tessa Gratton. This is kind of a loosely based on the Shakespeare play, with King Lear, and it centers his three daughters. And again, you have strong female protagonists, you have anti-heroes. It's great. The audiobook is really good. It's slow paced. It's very character driven. I love this. It's one of my favorite books. So those are my recommendations. Yes, Fury Born is beautiful. Like all of them have beautiful, beautiful covers. Okay, and I Darken. It's why that is one that's on my TBR. I have not read that series yet, but I have heard that that's really good. Polaris Rising. I need to read this. Someone recommended this to me recently as a sci-fi romance, and it sounds great. Okay, yeah, the Truth Witch series would fit that. I really like the Truth Witch series as well. I don't know if I would call it new adult necessarily, although I do actually think that series would have been nice as an adult series, but I love it. I think that's good. The whole Conqueror saga. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, Queens of Innisleer is great, so definitely would recommend that. Yes, thank you. Kirsten White is the Conqueror Saga and I Darken author. I love Queens of Innisleer. It's one of those ones that's like not for everybody. There are people who will say, "Oh, it's like really slow," and you have to like a slow character-driven book. But I loved it so much. Anyway, so there you go. Okay, that takes care of all the Twitter questions. Let's see what else we have. Okay, let's do some Instagram stuff. Okay, Beth from Bell's Books, etc. asked about advice to brand new booktubers. I think just like go for it, make a lot of videos, try stuff, experiment, see what works. Like the more you film, the more comfortable you're going to get on camera, the more things you try, the more you're going to get a feel for what kind of like what your voice is and what you want to talk about and how you want to talk about books, and just the practice is good. And the thing is too is when you're first starting out, you're usually not going to have a very large audience. There are exceptions, but for the most part, like not a lot of people are watching, so it's perfect time to just experiment and just go for it, you know. And don't worry too much about having things perfect. Slowly add something. Like if you want to improve your lighting or your editing or whatever it is, maybe like focus on like one little thing a month to work on and learn and improve. As long as you're like tweaking things over time, that's great. But yeah, don't stop yourself just because you don't think you're ready, because no one's ever fully ready, and that's okay. I like a good slow character driven one. Oh, yes. If it's one of your favorite Shakespeare plays, definitely read it. I think it's a very interesting take on the story and on the characters. It's really interesting. Okay, so that's my advice. Pretty simple, I guess. But oh, yes. Okay. So next up. Oh, good. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, try it. It's like I really like it. I'm glad that was helpful. All right. Simply Hannah May had two things that she was asking for. The first is something to fill the hole in my heart since I finished Jemison's backlist. Look, I'm sorry, I get it. I have not finished her backlist, partly because I don't want to be done with her backlist, but what's tricky about this is I'm going to give you some recommendations. Nobody is quite like N.K. Jemisin, so like I can't give you something that's maybe going to be entirely what you're looking for, but I can give you a few recommendations of places that you might want to start. One person that you might want to start well, okay, here's a couple of options. Like if what you like about N.K. Jemisin is that she writes things that are different from what other people are writing, and you want to read from somebody who's doing interesting things in the genre, you might try Nnedi Okorafor. I think she is one of the most inventive authors out there. She's written YA and adult, science fiction and fantasy. Excuse me. And she just has so much imagination, and I really like her books. They're kind of hit and miss. I haven't read a ton of her stuff yet, but people kind of love her or don't. But if you like the inventiveness or the creativity, she might be one to try. Another book that I might recommend if you want to try something that's like a different take on oh, okay, hold on. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's it. I think actually your audio is probably more important than anything else. Like if people can't hear you, that's going to be more of a problem, but if you have decent audio, just do it. Yes. Yeah, one day. And Jerry, what? Is the city? Oh, City We Became is going to be a series, but only the first book is out so far. Nnedi Okorafor is great. She's so inventive. Another book that I just think is really interesting and doing something very different with fantasy, so if that's what you're looking for, is Sundown Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I really want to continue on with the series this year, but this is really interesting. It's a different take on fantasy. It's really smart. It's got these different interlocking puzzle pieces where there's things that don't seem to make sense early in the book. And then later on, you're like, oh, that's what that was about. That's why that was happening. And I really enjoy that. And I think N.K. Jemisin does things like that as well. So if that's what you like from her writing, this might be one to give a try to. And yes, Nadia Corafor is fantastic. That's okay. And then my other recommendation, if you like the themes that she's addressing, would be Octavia Butler. If you haven't read Octavia Butler's backlist yet, I haven't read a lot of her stuff, but she is one that I would recommend reading, who's another great classic writer who's dealing with a lot of somewhat similar thematic material to N.K. Jemisin. So those are some recommendations. Yeah, no, this is one that's like really controversial. I liked Black Leopard Red Wolf as well. There's a lot of trigger warnings. I have a whole review video that I put up at some point about this, going into like what to expect from it, because I don't think it was marketed very well or very accurately, but I think it is really brilliant, and it is definitely a different take on fantasy. It's like a literary fantasy that's interesting. So yeah, for sure. Okay, so those were my answers. If you were looking for something to fill in N.K. Jemisin, those are some options. Yeah, I agree. I think Sundown Ascends is really amazing and very different. It's interesting, and I hear that it only gets better. The fourth and final book is set to come out later this fall, so I'm hoping to catch up on the series this year. Yeah, Kindred is really good. I also really loved Fledgling, although that one's a little bit more controversial, but that's great. I have not read Nala Hopkinson yet, but I have heard that. So yeah, Nala Hopkinson might also be another good one to pick up if you're looking for another option. Oh, I love this. It's great. Okay. Then this person also had requested something with Rebecca Roanhorse energy, fast-paced, readable fantasy with gods. Okay, so this was a little tricky. I have a couple of more YA options, and then I have one adult option that you might like. It's not a book that I loved, but I think if that's what you're looking for, it's worth a try. So the adult title that I'm thinking of is The Fate of the Fallen by Kel Cade. It's kind of pitched as like, what if Frodo died at the beginning of the journey and Samwise Gamgee had to like continue the quest, which is like kind of what it is. I didn't think it was a perfect book. Like, I liked parts of it. I think it needed a little work in some places, but I do know people who read it and loved it. And it does have this element of very fast-paced, very readable fantasy. It's got the gods intervening in what's happening with humans. So if those are elements you really like, I think that might be one to pick up. So even though, and so like, don't just take my word, because there are plenty of people who really, really loved it. So that might be one to try. And I think there's supposed to be more books in the series. And then a couple of other options. Raybearer by Jordan E. Fuego is really good. It's more of a politically driven fantasy. It has elements of like the gods or magical beings intervening with humans. It's multi-POV. It's really, really good. I loved this one a lot. And so this might be one to pick up. It's fairly fast-paced as well, and I think really, really readable. Hello, thank you so much. Welcome. Okay, City of Stairs. Cool. Some recommendations. Yeah, the 100,000 Kingdoms also had got it. Well, and so what's funny is this is the same person who said what to do after reading N.K. Jemisin's backlist, because that was my thought as well. And then I was like, oh, wait, she said she read N.K. Jemisin. But for anyone else listening who also wants these things, agree, 100,000 Kingdoms would be a good recommendation. Okay, Dark Hunter series, similar vibes with the gods, mostly Greek and Roman. Awesome if you want more of like a romance thing. Raybearer, yeah, Raybearer is great. And the Dark Fever series has Fae. Awesome. I love all these recommendations. Oh, yeah, that's true. Warbreaker has gods as characters. Don't know that it's, yeah, I don't know that I would call that like fast paced and readable, but it does have gods as characters, which is interesting. But yeah, no worries. It's fine. Okay, cool. I have not read the Dark Hunter series. Okay, and then my other recommendation is the Queen's Thief series by Megan Whalen Turner. I love these so much. The series is now finished. All of the books are out. They're very quick to read. They're also political YA fantasy that's really smart, pretty fast-paced, very readable, and there are gods in this that are intervening with human politics and different characters and stuff. So that would be my other recommendation of a series to try that I love and would want to see more people talking about. Okay, let's see. What else do we have on here? That's a good one. Lore. I haven't read that one either, but yeah, that one's interesting. It's like Greek mythology in modern day New York. That's an interesting idea. Okay. Madison asked, where to start with historical romance? Which is a great question. So we're going to talk about that. Yes. No, that's smart. Percy Jackson. Those are also very fast paced, very readable. That's a good, all great recommendations, guys. Magic Bites. Yeah. Does that have God? I guess I don't remember having gods in it, but it does have some of those similar elements. And I think that's true. If she likes Rebecca Roanhorse, Magic Bites by Ilona Andrews might be a good one to try. I think that's good. Okay, so where to start with historical romance? I'm going to give you a few recommendations of places that I think are good to start. And this I'm going to pair with another question about romance that I had on YouTube. Marina, who, if she's still here, I'm going to get to your question because she was in here earlier anyway, asked about historical romances with modern sensibilities, such as Evie Dunmore. And I think a lot of the answers that I'm going to have here are going to cross over. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hi. Okay, places to start with historical romance. One place that I think is a good place that I tell a lot of people to start is Tessa Dare. And these are a couple places. If you're wondering where to start with Tessa Dare, these are two of my recommendations. I think that she's a lot of fun. She has modern sensibilities to her characters. In fact, did I grab it? I don't know if I grabbed it. In fact, one of her most recent books, like one of the characters is vegan, which is kind of funny. She writes historical rom-coms. Her books are funny, they are steamy, they're a lot of fun, and I think they're a very good entry point for people wanting to get into historical romance. The Duchess Deal is the first book in a series. The whole series is really good, but I think this is a good entry point. It's a marriage of convenience plot with a grumpy hero. It's a lot of fun. Her heroines tend to be really spunky, which I enjoy. And then a personal favorite of mine, if you like a nerdy romance, is A Week to Be Wicked. I loved this. It made me laugh out loud so much. The heroine is this nerdy woman who is into paleontology, and she wants to go and present a paper on some of her findings at this conference that's supposed to be only like men. And so she convinces this guy who's known as a rake or like kind of a playboy to take her on a road trip to go present her paper. And they have adventures along the way and obviously end up falling in love. What's fun about it is she's super nerdy, and then he turns out to be like a closet nerd. So there's lots of like nerdy banter in the bedroom, and it's really funny. I loved it a lot. So these are two that I would recommend as good places to start with her. And I think that's a good place for historicals. Oh, good. Perfect. I'm glad that was helpful. Yay. Yeah, Raybearer is a great one. Tessa Dare is so fun. Seriously. I love her a lot. I think she's really good. Yeah, I think Tessa is a really good entry point. Grace Burrows. Okay, cool. I have not read Grace Burrows, but that's great. Another place that you might want to start if you are somebody who wants modern sensibilities and really cares about like high quality prose, wants deeper thematic content in your books, and maybe if you're like a historical fiction reader who wants to get into historical romance, I'm going to recommend Courtney Milan. Who's surprised? I'm recommending Courtney Milan. I love her. But The Duchess War is the first book in the Brothers Sinister series, and this is great. It's like deals with progressive politics. It's got this kind of slow burn romance. It again has more modern sensibilities in the way that she writes. She does not erase the existence of people of color and queer people from history as they actually existed. I just really love her books and I think they're really well written. So I would say Courtney Milan is a good place to start for that. And then another option that I think is a lot of fun is Beverly Jenkins. She's also just really great. She's another one where if you're a historical fiction reader who wants to get into romance, she's another one I would recommend because she leans hard into the historical fiction elements, but also has a really strong romance in it. I would say Tempest is probably the steamiest of her romances that I've read, but I also loved it a lot. It's got one of my favorite heroines. This one is a mail order bride Western romance. The hero is a widowed doctor who has a young daughter, and the heroine is just like kind of a like spunky firebrand, and they have a slow burn relationship that develops. I love it a lot. If this gives you any sense of the character, this is so much fun because okay, she's a mail order bride, right? So she's traveling to meet her husband for the first time. And on the way, they're attacked by bandits. This is in like the first chapter of the book. And then she thinks the bandits are coming to attack them again. So she shoots one of them. And it turns out she accidentally shot her husband to be in the shoulder. And that's how the book starts. It's great. It's a lot of fun. Made me laugh. It was a really good one. Yeah, no, I agree. For modern sensibilities, Eva Lee or Sarah McLean are really great. Eva Lee is fun. She's been writing this series that is inspired by 80s teen movies, which is awesome. There's one coming out this month called Waiting for a Scot Like You that is mostly inspired by Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's very entertaining. Yes, Courtney Milan is great. Okay, Lisa Kleypas. Yeah, I know a lot of people like her as well. Beverly Jenkins is amazing. She does a lot of historical context. She does a ton of research, and she really focuses on BIPOC history that doesn't get taught in school. So you're going to learn something in her books as well, which is great. I love her. Yeah, she's got great covers for sure. So those are kind of my recommendations for historical romance. Oh, yes, here we go. Wallflower Wager. I thought I grabbed it. This is the one with a vegan heroine, which is fun. She has like a menagerie of animals, which is a lot of fun. Hummerly and Moriarty. I think I read one book by her, but not much. Okay, let's see what else we have. Yeah, she's great. Oh yes, I have it pre-ordered too. Wild Rain coming out on Tuesday. Very excited for it for sure. Actually, the heroine in her new book that's about to come out, I think, is the sister of the hero from the one I just showed you, Tempest. So that's exciting. There's like interconnected characters in her books, which is fun. Okay, more from where were we? Okay, this was a little bit tricky. So Nora Alnoimi asked for an epic, sexy romance, which I'm not entirely sure how to interpret epic. So I'm going to give you a couple of options. One is like epic in scope, and the other one is epic in terms of being kind of out there, I guess, like wild but fun. And they're both like semi-sexy. So for semi kind of epic in scope, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This one is like low to moderate steam levels. It's not like super sexy, but I really liked this a whole lot, and it kind of took BookTube by storm last year. It's a male contemporary romance between the first son, like the son of a first female president of the United States and a British prince. It's a lot of fun. I guess you could call it epic because it deals with like international politics. So like I'm gonna give that as a recommendation. And then my other one, if you want something that's epic in terms of just being like wild and sexy, is The King's Spinster Bride by Ruby Dixon. She writes really interesting, like out there erotic romances that are very campy and don't take themselves too seriously, and they're a lot of fun. So Mara from Books Like What sent this to me when we did like a TBR swap, and it was great. It was really fun. It's a novella. It's not very long. So if you want to like dip your toes in Ruby Dixon, this might be one to try. Yeah, no, I think that's good. I thought about Kennedy Ryan I agree. Like her books are pretty epic in terms of the stories. I would agree with that. Okay, we have people who loved Red, White, and Royal Blue. It is good. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, she has a new book coming out this year. People, I'm hearing it's good things so far. I know Chelsea Darling Reads really liked it. Okay, so if anybody else has other good, epic, sexy romances, goes through a long term in their relationship. Okay, yeah, I can see that for sure. Yeah. Actually, scary horror Rex. Yeah, you know what? If later, if you want to go back and see, answered this question of like a couple of things that I found scary. So one of them was this. But scary is definitely subjective. I will say too, being scared is not the thing I necessarily look for in my horror. Like I know some people like that's what they really want out of their horror, and I don't necessarily want to be super scared, but yeah. What do you think draws you to these romance novels? I mean, I don't know. Like the specific ones I pick up are usually because I've heard about them from other people, but I think romance, I became a romance reader not that long ago, like a couple of years ago, and what I've discovered is there's a lot of really powerful progressive things being talked about and thought through in romance. And I love that. I love what a lot of authors in romance are doing. It's really responsive to things that are currently happening in society, which I think is awesome. I'm finding tropes I really enjoy. And what's great about it, especially in a year like 2020 when things suck, like having a book where you know the ending is going to be a happy one. Like there's something very comforting about that when the world is not that way. Oh wow, 15 years. Yeah, that's definitely epic. Horror light. Yeah, that's what I tend to do. Music to my ears. Okay, cool. Awesome. Love the TBR growth. Hey Shay, thank you. Yay. Yeah, so this is funny, and this is the thing is like people have such different taste in romance. I am not a huge I don't like the alpha types, but a lot of people do, and I think that's fine. Like like people are into different things in real life and in their fiction. I mean, and I think that's fine. So, but yeah, like you find what works for you and what doesn't, and it's going to be different for everyone. So it's a lot of like figuring this out. Okay, last Instagram question was from Bookend to Bookend. She asked, what is my least favorite genre to read? I don't think I have like a complete genre that I don't like, but I'm probably a really hard sell on literary fiction from white men. Like it tends to be kind of like whiny and self-indulgent, and I don't like that. So I guess that would be my answer. Yeah. Sorry, always growing the TBRs. Maybe not across the board, but like that seems to be a tendency. Okay, let's do the rest of the YouTube questions. What else do we have? Oh, okay. Verona had a question that I really loved. This was a great one. She asked, what is your favorite video that you've made so far? And what is the one that you're most proud of? And I love this because, as other creators probably know, sometimes the videos that you do because you love them don't necessarily do as well in the algorithm. And so it's like fun to have an opportunity to talk about the videos that you loved or that you're really like proud of. Um, so my favorite video I've made, I'm going to say one that I just had a lot of fun making, even though it didn't necessarily do the best. But this is where I did a vlog of Instagram controlling my day. And so I had people throughout the day vote on different choices I would make, obviously inspired by Books and Lala, who's done stuff like this before. And I was like, that seems fun. I'm going to do this as like a self-care thing and take a day to myself. And it was so much fun and really cool to put together. So that was probably one of my favorite ones that I've made. That was like a year ago, I think. Yeah. Oh, that's yes. You know what? I don't like true crime either. That might be a better answer for me. That's funny. Uh, Okay, yeah, that's fair. I think it depends on the nonfiction, but I can see that. Graphic novel Rex. Oh boy, Shay, I do not read that many graphic novels. I'm gonna have to think about this. Hmm. I mean, I feel like the graphic novels that I like are the ones that everybody reads and recommends. Saga. I like the Saga series. Monstrous. I like things that are like epic, interesting storytelling. I don't know that I have anything super exciting to share because it's not something I read that much of. Yeah, like not always, but like often it tends to be kind of whiny and self-indulgent, especially modern stuff. But yeah, interesting. The Midnight Queen. Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, I don't do much true crime either. I can do horror more depending, but yeah, it's not really it. I don't know. But I know there's people who love it, so that's great. Okay, video I'm most proud of. I have two answers for this. One is a year ago, I did this video. My husband and I went and spent a weekend away in New Haven, Connecticut, where Yale is, and I had recently read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So we used the map in the book and found all the locations on the map, and I filmed a little clip at all of the locations and did a whole Ninth House Yale tour, and then I did a voiceover with quotes about those locations. It was a lot of work, but it was really fun and really cool to come together. And so that's one that I'm really proud of because it was like a labor of love, but I had a really good time with it. And then the other one is one that I did earlier this year. I did an interview with Sarah Faring, who's an author, and it was so fun to do and put together, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. I did it in this because she writes these like creepy books, and so I wanted to film the interview in a way that was like creepy and atmospheric. So we have her talking, but then I've got a bunch of B-roll of like clips from the West Village where we walked around and talked, and it was like really cool. So I'm very, very proud of those videos. After this is over, maybe I'll link them down below if you guys want to check them out. So like not a lot of people ever even watched the interview, but it was, again, a labor of love, and I'm very proud of how it turned out. So that was fun. Okay, let me catch up with the comments. Okay, we did that. Where are we? Okay. Not huge on, yeah, I love sci-fi, but I think part of it is finding what you like because there's so many subgenres in sci-fi. I have not tried Descender. I don't know anything about that. Interesting. Okay, we have some other recommendations. On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. If you like gays in space, sure, make it an official genre. Why not? That's great. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know what? Like, there's a lot of great narrative nonfiction that doesn't necessarily need to be intimidating. And I would say try it on audio. I think audio can be a really great way to consume nonfiction that doesn't take as long. Yeah, it was fun. I've done other author interviews before, but this one, it was like, I think what was cool about this video is I had a vision in my head of how I wanted it to turn out. And I really love her books. And what was cool was that I was able to actually execute the vision I had in my head, which is not easy to do sometimes if you've done videos. So that was one I was pretty proud of. Not a fan of anything space or alien related. That's okay. Different strokes for different folks. Yeah, graphic novels could be a good way to go. Saga is kind of a sci-fi graphic novel series. That's good. Okay, next question. Okay. So Marina, we talked about her first question, which was the historical romance with modern sensibilities, but she had two other requests as well. So let's do those. She asked for a fantasy with spooky woo-woo fae vibes like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So I watched the mini series, but I never actually read the book. But my recommendation for this is The Perilous Guard by Elizabeth Marie Pope. I read this because of Mara, and it's kind of unfortunately hard to get your hands on now because it's out of print. I was able to get like a used copy, but the audiobook is available on Scribd if you have that. And I really like this a lot. It's super interesting. It came out in the 1970s, and it's historical fiction set in the 1500s where this young woman is exiled by Queen Mary Tudor to the Perilous Guard, which is this castle kind of place, and she gets embroiled in these like mysteries with these fae, and there's like human sacrifice things that they do. Anyway, it's like really kind of dark, but really an interesting take on the fae that feels more grounded than other stuff. And I learned after reading this that apparently Holly Black says this was inspirational to her for like the Cruel Prince series and all the other fae stuff that she writes. So I really like this a lot. If you can get your hands on it, that would be my recommendation for that type of thing. Paper Girls. Yeah. Paper Girls is sort of like, it has time travel. It reminds me a little bit of Stranger Things. It has like Stranger Things vibes. Descender is sci-fi with AI and giant planet-sized robots. Cool. Sounds fun. Oh, good. Yeah, no, definitely do. I think it's really good. It's a little bit slower paced. It's an older YA. It's like YA from the 70s. So like it's got a different feel to the writing, but I really liked it. And then you also asked about a ghostly love story. I'm going to recommend Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas if you haven't read it yet. It's YA by a trans author, and it's got a ghostly love story between two boys, and it's really cute, and also has like a mystery plot. The mystery is like pretty predictable, but the romance and the relationship is very adorable. So there's my recommendations for that. It is sci-fi, yes. Okay. All right. Locked Booktition asked for Gothic horror recommendations. I love Gothic horror. And I don't know that I have anything new to share, but I'm going to go over a couple that I really enjoyed. Superhero recommendations. So yeah, aside from Renegades and Steelheart, I feel like superheroes are so hard for me to enjoy a lot of times. Like I really like superhero movies. I did actually, though, quite like, I think they're a little underappreciated, but I really liked this series of books. I read the first 3 of them, the DC Icon series, which are YA retellings of the origin stories of superheroes, and I think they're very good. I do think people who are more purists with the comics may not enjoy them as much, but if you can just like ignore that, I liked them quite a lot. So that would be my recommendation there. Cemetery Boys was very cute. Miss Marvel, yes. Oh, good. I'm glad I can help. Yes, Mexican Gothic is one of my one that I would recommend, which I forgot to get down. It is up there, but yeah, Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia for sure for Gothic horror. If you want like a light Gothic horror that's sapphic, Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. I love this so much, and it's like it's really long, but it's so good. It's got nested storytelling, so like story within a story within a story across different times, and it's got illustrations. I loved that one a lot. It's definitely got Gothic vibes. Yeah, I know, Ashley, you're totally one of those purists, but if you are not, I would recommend this for superhero books. I think they're good. Yes, agree. Oh, yeah, actually, that's true. Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. That's a great recommendation, actually, for superhero. It's really interesting because it's like, what happens to the superheroes when they grow up and are dealing with trauma and PTSD from what they experienced, which I think is so interesting. So I think that's a good one. Yeah, it is. It's kind of, it has superhero vibes, like Chosen One. It is. It's like superheroes. It's basically like teen Chosen Ones superheroes who took down the villain, and now 10 years later they're dealing with like trauma and PTSD from what they experienced, and then like some other things happen. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. The Extraordinary. Oh, Beth, yes, this is also a good one. This is super cute. It's very funny. It's got teen superheroes and like queer love story. It's by TJ Klune, who wrote House in the Cerulean Sea, but it's a YA book and it's great. Catwoman, yeah, that's like another book in the series. Also, I really liked the Batman one by Marie Lu. I think they were great. Okay, yeah, The 13th Tale. Oh, that's a throwback. I haven't read that in a while. That's good. I know, it's so sad. I really liked his adaptation. I thought it was great, but I'm not like a comics reader, so that's fair. What else did I have though for Gothic stuff? Oh, yeah. For YA Gothic Horror, The Companion by Katie Allender. I really liked this a lot. I think it's an interesting YA take on Gothic horror. You know, all of these were in like my favorite horror videos. So, and a lot of my favorite horror is Gothic. So maybe just look at that. Yeah, I don't know if I would call that superheroes, but Legendborn is great. I really loved that. Oh, good. Yes, The Extraordinaries was so good. So good. And Legendborn is amazing. Agree. Hello, John. Hello. Vicious? Yeah, Vicious is like an anti-hero superhero thing. I hear that. Oh goodness. Books about books. Books about stories. One of my favorites, even though not everyone loves it, but The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern is a book about stories and books that I love a lot. Yeah, I feel like you could do a whole video on this. See, this is the problem with like random ones, because I didn't have time to prepare for it. Yeah, I need to read more of TJ Klune's backlist because I have loved what I've read from him so far. The Thursday Next series. Okay, cool. See, people are going to have recommendations for you. Also, H.G. Perry put out a book that was really interesting about book characters coming into real life, which I thought that was kind of cool. All right. Okay, cool. So we have 2 questions left. One of them is about book recommendations, and then the other one is more of like a YouTube question. So I'll start with the book recommendation one, and then we'll do the other question. Oh, we've got tons of recs. Okay. Sorcery of Thorns. Okay, yes, that's true. It's a standalone about books. I've not heard about this one, but cool. Yes. The Hazelwood is a book about like a fairy tale book. That's a good one. That's great. Yeah, I really want to get to TJ Klune's backlist. I hear some of his stuff is sadder, but I want to read it. Okay. So last book recommendation question is from Monique, who asked about books where the main character is a mother, which I think is great. So if you want something disturbing, where I gotta find where all my books are. If you want something disturbing, My Soul to Keep by Tanari Do. Although the mother is a good mother, but like some of the horror in this is more horrific if you're a parent. So if that is of interest, there is a mother character in this. I think it's very good. Circe by Madeline Miller. I love, one of my favorite books. And I especially loved the depiction of her as a mother. I thought it just like nailed the complicated experience of becoming a mother, of raising children. Like this was so good, and she's a mother, so that's definitely a recommendation. And then I have some romance recommendations as well. One of which, like, where is everything? I like so many books for this, you guys. For a book about a stepmother, Tempest by Beverly Jenkins. She becomes a stepmother to like a 6-year-old girl. That's a good one. And then The Care and Feeding of Waspish Widows by Olivia Waite is a historical sapphic romance between 2 middle-aged women, one of whom is a widow with an adult son. And so if you're interested in something about a mother of an adult child, that could be one to pick up. And then for a mother of a baby, that's a romance, The Duke, the Lady, and the Baby, A Duke, the Lady, and the Baby by Vanessa Riley is a historical romance about a mother of a young child. And those are all books that I think are great about mothers. So, okay, let me catch up on comments. Cool. The House on the Cerulean Sea, I think, is a good place to start. Okay, Imaginary Friend. I am very intrigued by things I hear about this. I'm interested in maybe reading that at some point. Oh, really? I did not know The Sword of Kagan was about a mother. Interesting. With the Fire on High, that's a good one for a YA, like a teen mother. That's great. Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Broken Earth Trilogy. Oh, man, yes. 100%. It's got so much about like complicated parent-child relationships. That is a great recommendation. Okay, cool. Alphabet of Thorn, about an orphan sort of adopted by a library. Oh, cool. Interesting. Yes. Yeah, if you want one about like a complicated, not so good like mother-child relationship, yeah, Burn Our Bodies Down, that's a good one. I liked that a lot. Yellow Wife. Interesting. Cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about that one. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I've not read that one, but yeah, The House in the Cerulean Sea is great. I think that's a good one to start with, and almost everyone loves it, unless they think it's too sweet, but I think it's great. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Yellow Wife. Good to know. Thanks, Ashley. So many good things in the comments, guys. This is great. Okay. Last question that I had before this. Oh, the rose gold is complex. Okay. Cool. Cappuccino Crafts asked, what inspired you to start your channel, and what is the most surprising part of being a content creator? Which are great questions. I'm sure I've talked about this before, but what inspired me to start my channel? Okay, so I started my channel in 2017. My youngest son was 6 months old. I was home for the first time. I had worked when we had just one kid, but we had moved to a new city. Financially, we couldn't afford for me to work full time. And I was home with a toddler and a newborn and was kind of losing my mind. And I, in hindsight, probably also was dealing with some postpartum depression, to be honest. And so as like a birthday present to myself, I went to BookCon because I've always loved books. And when I was there, I discovered the BookTube as a thing. And I'd always thought it would be fun to try doing a YouTube channel, but didn't really know what I would talk about. And then I was like, oh, I could talk about books. And so 2 weeks later, I started my YouTube channel, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's been great. I love it a whole lot. And here we are. Who knew? But that was kind of what inspired it originally. I hadn't really even watched BookTube much before starting it. I just was like, oh, cool, that's a thing. Let's do that. I can talk about books, and it's been great. Most surprising thing about becoming a content creator, I think the most surprising thing to me was the friendships that I developed. I didn't go in expecting to make friends, and now I have friends that I talk to regularly who I consider to be pretty close friends, who are also content creators that I've made through this, and that has been amazing and just like really, really cool. So yeah. The bride test. Oh yeah, that's true. She has a mother. She should have told him she was a mother. That annoyed me. The Mothers by Britt. I need to read Britt Bennett this year. Okay, yeah. Cool. Glad this is helpful. Oh, fun. I think I have AJ Fickery on my TBR shelf somewhere. So yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. I mean, I think it helps a lot. I'm glad this can be helpful for other people as well. Oh goodness. Tissues for AJ Fickery. Whew, okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard that one is kind of intense. I think that was like an award winner this year. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Cool. So that is all the questions that I had from Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. If anybody has other questions or things that they're looking for, I am happy to answer them and stay on for a little bit longer. We're right around an hour. I'm impressed. We got through all that in an hour. I was like, I now have stacks of books around me. I'll have to put away later. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. It's been like a while coming, but it's yes. Yeah, I think it can help a lot as like a way of being social. Oh, you're welcome. Cool. I'm glad that was interesting. It's one of those things too, like I'm sure I've talked about it other places, but also as there's like new people coming in, they may not always know some of that stuff. Ooh, best enemies to lovers romance. Oh goodness. See, like doing this on the spot is like so tricky. Enemies to lovers. Pride and Prejudice. No, I'm sure I would have better answers than that, but like off the top of my head, Pride and Prejudice, I think is a great classic one. Good audiobooks in any genre. There's a lot of really great audiobooks. The Ember and the Ashes series by Tapa Tahir, if you're looking for like YA epic fantasy that gets kind of more dark and intense, those are good. The narrators are great, and there's multiple narrators. That would be one to try. My least favorite part of BookTube. So I actually like editing. I enjoy editing. My least favorite thing is captioning videos, which is part of why, well, also it's very time consuming and very tedious, which is why I don't caption that many of my videos, but I do try to do it for some of them. That was probably my least favorite thing, but it's very expensive to like hire somebody else to do it. Fable bands. That was where this one is from. They make great like bookish headbands. Addie LaRue inspired one. I have like a whole drawer of them, guys. It's an addiction. This one is Red Rising inspired. Throne of Glass. Fable bands. They're great. I really should ask them to let me rep for them, and they can send me free things. That would be so cool, but I just buy them. They're awesome. Self-published indie POC authors. Yeah, that's a good question. Courtney Milan is a self-published indie POC author. Her older stuff, Talia Hibbert, she is now getting traditionally published, but she has a lot of self-published stuff from previous. That's really good. Kennedy Ryan is really great. Yeah. Oh my God, Ashley, you can't do this to me. I don't know. Top 10 books of all time. I need like an hour to think about this. Look, here's what I will do. I will tell you my favorite books of the year for the past 3 years, because I have those. So that's as good as you're gonna get. So 3 years ago, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Last year, 2019, The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Last year, Fear of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. So far in 2020, this may change, but so far, Winter's Orbit by Everetta Maxwell. I don't know if that'll be my favorite book of the year, but it's my favorite I've read thus far. That's yeah. I'm like, I don't know, but that's I'll give you that. It's not. I don't know what this is. Okay. Favorite classic. I mean, I really like Jane Eyre a lot. I also really like I like Jane Austen in general. I think this is an unpopular opinion, but I love Northanger Abbey. I think it's very entertaining. So, like, I don't know. Those are some favorites. I think Frankenstein by Mary Shelley is a good one. I liked Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. I tend to like women writers from the 1800s. Like, that's a lot of my favorites are those. Little Women, though, also I loved. Yes. Yeah, I want to read more work in translation. Oh, for Asian in translation, I think I missed, sorry, I'll scroll back up because I think I missed one, but The Court Dancer by Kyung-Suk Shin is beautiful. Beautiful. Translated historical fiction by a Korean author. You know what? I am a hard sell on book subscription boxes, to be honest, because I think sometimes they send you stuff that's just like unnecessary on a regular basis. Sometimes some of the special edition stuff from like Fae Crate or Owl Crate can be good. I do see the Illuma Crate looks pretty good sometimes, but I don't do much. Although, sneak peek, I am trying something out and vlogging it, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Pride and Prejudice is a good one. I do like Pride and Prejudice. Yes, Hearthstone is fun. It is literally Pride and Prejudice with dragons. Like, basically the exact plot of Pride and Prejudice in a fantasy world with dragons, which is fun if you like Pride and Prejudice. City of Thieves. Okay, awesome. There's an audiobook recommendation. Oh, what I consider, I don't know how interested people would be in that. Like, it would be a lot of maybe. Like, if enough people said they were interested, possibly, but I just don't know how well something like that would do, but I don't know. I'll think about it. Nonfiction recommendations. I think a lot of this depends on what you like. A lot of the nonfiction I like to read is about race and feminism. Like, that is most of my favorite nonfiction. So like my favorites of the year from this past year. Okay, like off the top of my head, things I really love. Anything by Max Kendi, amazing. Hood feminism, really, really good. I don't know. Like, yeah, I do have like a list of nonfiction favorites from the year, but like that's a lot of what I like to read in nonfiction. Okay, cool. Amanda Ross, Jessica Cage. I have not tried them. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Mm. Ooh, interesting. Contemporary or dark romance series that follows a main couple for 3 or more books. Ooh. Hmm. I don't read a lot of dark romance, like it's not really my thing, but I will say, Kennedy Ryan has a series. I've not read all of them yet, but one of my favorite, if I could find it right, I can't like reach everything, but Grip by Kennedy Ryan is great, and it's technically one of a 3-book series. There's a novella, then Grip, then a third book in the series, and it follows the same couple. So that would be my best recommendation there. Oh, cool. You'll have to let us know how the audiobook is. I loved the book. Survival stories. Yes. There's one I just read. Oh, it's out there. Okay. One that is coming out next week. Is the girl from, what is it? Oh gosh, what is it? The girl from Something Springs. I have to look this up. Hold on. But I read it. I talk about it in my most recent wrap up, but it's like survival story plus magic in this like wintry climate, and it was good. Oh, The Girl from Shadow Springs by Ellie Cipher. That's it. So yeah, that would be my recommendation for that. Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. Oh, I like that. That's cool. Yeah, that's nice that they can do that because sometimes you just don't need all the things. Okay, yeah, Well Met was good. Oh, Radiance. I love Radiance. Yeah, okay, I had that here too for a fantasy romance. It's like a political arranged marriage that's a slow burn friends to lovers. So good. Well, it's like enemies sort of to friends to lovers. It's great. Look, there are some beautiful editions of things. They're just so expensive. I usually can't afford to do it. Like that's like a big splurge. Mm. Hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I'll create special editions if it's something that I really want, but I don't know. See, that's cool. I think that's cool they do that. Look, IDNF shattered me. I could not deal with the writing. I know a lot of people love it, but I could not do it. Yes, that is exactly right. That's why I haven't done a limit crate because the shipping is very pricey. I want to read that. Yeah, Cast is on my TBR. I'm hoping to get to that this year because it sounds great. Okay, cool. I've not read those ones. Island of Dr. Moreau. Okay, we've got like some stuff. Follows the same couple for 3 books. I'm not sure. Okay. By H.G. Wells. Yeah, H.G. Wells is good. Favorite movie adaptation from a book or least favorite? Oh my goodness, guys. Oh, that is, I mean, that's like so tricky. They've adapted so many different things. I mean, I think the Lord of the Rings movies are really great. Not that I've read all of the books. Okay, Hobbit, I don't think is a good adaptation of the book. Like, it did not need to be a movie trilogy. So that might be my least favorite. Okay, eating animals, cool. Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. Interesting. Cool. Awesome. I've not read that one. My Side of the Mountain. Oh, I feel like I maybe read that at some point for a middle grade story. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Look, I occasionally I'll get something fancy, but I just can't do it all the time. There's so many beautiful editions of things though, for sure. Oh, cool. Sapphic Romance. This sounds, yeah, that sounds great. Really interesting. Cool. Hmm. Okay. Well, anything else? Any last questions? Sorry, I know my answers are not as good for the ones that I'm on the spot for because it's like what I can think of off the top of my head, whereas these I had like time to sit and think about. So I had more to say. Yeah, I hear that that one is really good from the 70s. Yeah, I've heard that that one is really good, but it did not need to be a whole trilogy. I didn't love the way they adapted that. I also I don't know that we've ever gotten a great, in my opinion, I don't know that we've ever gotten like a great adaptation of the Chronicles of Narnia. Like, although I did grow up on the live action ones with the like from forever ago, where there's like people dressed up in like the animal costumes. Like, uh, I have fond memories of those, even though like realistically they're probably not that great. Okay, so any other questions? Hey, thank you. Welcome. We did talk about your question earlier. I guess you'll have to like find where it was. Hey. Oh, no worries. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I like a book with bookworm. Look, you know that that's not a bad idea. I could see that. Ben Barnes as Prince Caspian. Yes, I could get behind that, definitely. Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out. This has been really fun. Yeah, stay safe too. If anybody has last minute questions, let me know. But yeah, sorry, I did. I did answer your question. Oh, nice, cool. Well, I know there's a lot of stuff going on tonight, but I was like, let's just do this. I didn't give people a lot of warning. It was like 4 hours before. Hey, you were doing this, but it's been fun. Cool. Okay, well, this has been really fun. Thank you all so much for celebrating with me. I'm like now almost done with my drink. And yeah, I now have like stacks of books that I need to go and put away after this. But thank you all so much for 10,000. It's really exciting and I wanted to celebrate and I thought this would be like a fun way to do it, give you more book recommendations and yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Oh, good. I'm glad it was fun. It's been fun to help answering. Thank you. Yeah, lots of exciting things to come. Announcements for things coming. It's gonna be good. Cool. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for joining. Stay safe. Thank you for joining in. Y'all have been wonderful. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll see you later.